Hello, you're on City Talk Fall River. This is Trot.
And Derek.
And Nikki, bless you.
Excuse me, just still fighting a little bit of a thing here, but thank you for listening again. Last week was definitely one of my favorite weeks. We had Mike De Oliveira on. We had a City Talk Necessary Media crossover. It was excellent. We had a great time. Derek, did you get a chance to listen to the debates last night?
I did. And Sam still can't read company names. He repeated it how many times? About 6 times. And after he was corrected, he still said it twice incorrectly. Low tags?
Low tags.
Low tags.
Low tags.
Wow. I mean, Nikki, you had an awesome comment of the fact of him continually mispronouncing a name.
Mm-hmm.
Was something to the effect of like him not really caring about business or something?
No, he didn't. I said once he was corrected, because let's be real, at the last debate he didn't say it correctly. Excuse me. And then again last night he didn't say it correctly. And this time Jazel was very adamant about saying the name properly. And he said low tags. And when it was Sutter's turn to rebut, he actually said Lotigays again. So Jazel said, you're still saying the name wrong, even though you know the correct name. To me, that was more insulting than anything. So it was either his ignorance to caring about saying the name of the business properly, which in the city of Fall River is probably not smart, or he actually didn't even care about saying Lotigays, which is disrespectful.
One way or the other, when Sam Sutter tries over and over again in the debates to have Jazel look like the immature, misinformed person, when you hear things like that, it kind of goes against it. As a matter of fact, I think Jazel Correa carried himself in all these debates very, very well, as far as going against this impression that he's some young, crazy, immature 23-year-old who doesn't know anything. I think he's done that as a city councilor as well, just in my opinion.
Is anybody? One thing that I noticed right from the rip on this debate, and you can see the same thing through all of the debates. Take a look at who's the first person to take a shot at the other candidate.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. Both times, it was Sutter. I mean, yeah, through the first couple questions, what would you dress up as for Halloween? And all right, whatever. But once he started getting into the questions that really mattered, Jazel was he answered it to the best of his abilities. For him, and then on the rebuttal, you had Mayor Sutter say what he had to say, and then start the attack. If you're that confident in yourself, if you're that confident in what you have to say, if you're that confident in everything that's going to take place, there is no reason you need to attack anyone. And that was not the case on both mayoral debates. So to me, it tells me that Sutter is very, very nervous, and he has to make someone look really bad in order to make himself, feel superior. Now, don't get me wrong, Jazel did, get some shots. He fired some shots back, but it was only as a rebuttal to every attack that Sutter made. I don't see that as a problem. However, I would love to see a debate where no shots are fired, which we know that'll never happen, and see what these guys really have.
Well, see, I like shots fired. And I like shots fired because like I feel like when Sutter goes in, when he starts his attack, there's no substance to it. Like when he goes on to attack Jazel's businesses, I feel like Sutter doesn't understand them. So it would be like me describing a football game, the plays of a football game. That's what it would be like as if I knew what I was talking about. I would sound foolish because I don't know what I'm talking about. So that's where I think he's not hitting it. Like I almost felt like last night, Sutter, if you're listening, whoever is writing your stuff, fire them now, because I'm not even your fan and I could do a better job for you than whoever is doing it now.
I would like to interject. Nikki Medeiros on City Talk Fall River is not offering her services to help Sam Sutter.
No, I am not.
Thank you.
And listenership just dropped.
No, well, it's
No.
true. I could do a better job than whoever is doing it. It's just, to me, if you're gonna be in political office, at least hit the opponent where it would matter. There's nothing of substance.
I liked, one of the other things that I found, I'm not gonna say I liked, but I found very interesting is the fact that, Mayor Sutter brought into the discussion the fact that he opened up a law firm, built it from the ground up, and then moved on to become the district attorney. Now, I'm sorry though, but when you open up a law firm, typically who's going to be working there? It's going to be you. It may be another lawyer, a partner, maybe a paralegal. So you have maybe a couple people in there, not a huge business to run, but enough. Now, you look at what Jazel's been doing. He has Snow Owl, cheap plug. He's built that thing, and he's built that thing pretty well. I actually went to the website to look at the stats, and it's actually quite amazing about how many, because that thing is actually real time. It gives you the amount of people that have updated it, people that use it, all the companies that have it, how many downloads. It's a pretty interactive stats page. It's pretty impressive too. And the part that I think Sutter really doesn't understand is like the whole partnership and the investment piece. And there's a big difference between someone who loans you money, and there's a big difference that someone invests in your company. Investors are partners, so if they make money, the investors make money. It's a very simple business 101 thing. I don't understand where the confusion lies with him, because when he had his law firm, maybe he didn't have anybody. Maybe he was the only one making money. Maybe he had a secretary. All right, whatever. But you got to understand, whoever's giving this information, whoever's telling him to say this, way off base.
Another note to make was, as Sutter always attacks Jazel's experience or his age, and Sutter will go on to say, I had 8 years experience. If you go back within the last 10 years of Fall River, Jazel Correa has been very into our city politics. He's been very into different programs that are helping young people, older people. He's actually been involved in Fall River and its organizations longer than Sutter. So for Sutter to come back and say you don't have any experience, you're just too young. Right. As a Fall River resident, Jazel is exactly the kind of future adult I want to see in Fall River. Not Sutter, who's going to tell all the young people, you're just too young to understand.
It was really mind-boggling to watch Sam Sutter at the children's meeting, that the youth violence forum. It was amazing to hear him tell children how they can overcome their obstacles and things like that on one hand, and then literally the next day tell somebody who's accomplished, who's done very well for himself, that he's too young to do this. It's literally talking out of both sides, and that word disingenuous is something that Jazel has been using quite a lot, and unfortunately there isn't any other word to describe exactly that. Either young people can accomplish their goals and go after it, or they can't. And make a decision, decide. Don't just say that young people can't do it because you're trying to win an election. Just give Jazel credit and say, look, you're doing a great job, this, that, and the other, but I still believe I'm a better mayoral candidate than you. But to insult somebody for being young, to me, that's insulting to a lot of people. That's not just insulting to Jazel Correa. I'm sorry. What's the matter? Did I do something wrong?
No,
I did something.
don't worry. Just keep going.
Yes.
Keep going.
I'm all done.
Keep going.
I'm all done.
Oh,
You didn't
okay.
sound done.
I'm done.
Okay.
All right, I'm done.
Okay. One of the. I mean, I don't know if you want to consider this one of the shots fired or one of the funny points of the debate, but I really enjoy. The crowd also did get a great reaction out of this. Is when Jazel made mention of, do you really want someone who's 2 years away from retirement or someone who can give you 20 years in the position?
Mhm.
I thought that was one of the most telling statements because you know what? Maybe someone that is ready to retire, another 2 years, what is he going to do? I mean, you know what? Whatever. But you have someone that's young. You have someone that has a plan, that has direction, who's going to potentially do something with the city. I mean, look, I'm not going to give my views either way of who I'm going to vote for. I think it's pretty obvious. I don't think I have to say it. But one person definitely has plans to move the city forward, while the other one has plans to just make the city get by. And that's a big difference in my eyes.
Well, I didn't like that Jazel made that comment about age because I have an issue. If I'm not going to like Sutter making a comment about how young Jazel is, I don't like a comment about Jazel saying he's 2 years away from retirement. However, I understand what he was saying. What he was saying is this Fall River right now for Sutter, or at least this is what I think Jazel was saying. I don't want to put words in his mouth. His political career in Fall River is not a long-standing one. And last night he was asked a question: if you could pick a restaurant in Fall River that you go to all the time. He had such a hard time picking a restaurant. And I am sorry. You could stop anybody who's lived in Fall River for at least 5 years and ask them, where's your favorite place to go eat lunch? They're not hesitating. Everybody has a favorite place to eat in this city. So for him to take as long as he did, being from Fall River, I was like, you can't even come up with a place. And the place he picks is directly across the street from the courthouse.
Of course he does.
So to me, it was just like, it wasn't a genuine answer. So Jazel could have said in that aspect, you're only using Fall River as a stepping stone. You don't really care much about Fall River to invest in it as far as businesses go. So this is just a short term, because I've always said that too. I believe this is a stepping stone. He's got bigger ideas in his head, and it's certainly not Fall River Mayor.
Out of curiosity, where's your favorite place?
Mine?
Yeah.
Holy cow, I have a lot. It depends. If it's breakfast, it's definitely Lou's Bakery. Oh, you can't. You cannot get any better. Yes. If it's for lunch, it's probably going to be Caravella, because the Portuguese steak is just the best. But there are so many other Portuguese restaurants. Oak Hills. I could go to the Liberal Club for seafood. You name it. There are Alice's for breakfast. Tiverton Line. Like, I could just go on and on at different places that you would like to eat. Know what I mean? Gina's. There's so.
Yeah, we know someone that likes Gina's over here. But hey, I'm a huge fan of Almex. I mean, there was a point where I would go every Friday. I would get the same thing every time. I would walk in. I would legit sit down. I would have my drink in front of me, and within 10 minutes, I had my food. I had to say not one word. They know I'm in there. It's a turkey club with the turkey heated up on the flat top. It's absolutely fantastic every time, no doubt, without a second thought. And I love the place. And like you said, you mentioned some other great restaurants too. So he could have legitimately gone through a list.
Yeah.
And he couldn't do that. And great observation. He picks the restaurant across from the courthouse.
And I don't doubt that he goes to that place every day. He probably does.
I don't doubt that that's probably the only place he goes to. And he tried to play it off like, oh well, I can't really make one. I can't pick one. No, dude, you can only pick one because it's all you know.
Because if you couldn't pick just one, you'd say more than just one.
But on the other side of it, Jazel did throw a nod to was it Vose?
A Vose.
I'm dying to go there. I can't wait to try it. I've heard so many good things so far.
Fall River's food is so awesome. Like, I don't care who says it's not. Like, I couldn't live anywhere else. I really couldn't. You could go into Amaral's on a Tuesday afternoon and get their roasted potatoes. Like, that's the kind of stuff that Fall River is made of.
Fridays are always good for Hickson's.
Hmm.
Good fish and chips. Well, welcome to Foodie Talk Fall River now. All the fat kids are now going to be calling, which phone number is 774-955-0533.
It's one of the best things, like over and over and over again. I would love for us to have a food festival. That would be awesome.
You know what? That is, I mean, I'm not, and you know, we all make comments about having it on the waterfront, but that would be the perfect setting for a food festival like that, because you have different. I mean, think about it. You do have Lebanese places. You have the you have
Asian. There are many.
You have the shish kebab place right on Meridian Street, just before you get into I mean, just after the UMass ATMC. You have different types of cuisine in this city, and it's all a benefit. I mean, you can do so much with that, and you can have the location for it, and it would be something that people would go to. You know, I mean, I'm hoping someone's listening, and hopefully
I've said that for years. I always get jealous when Rhode Island has their little food festivals or their chowder cook-off and things. So we have a phone call.
Hello, Adam. Oh yeah, you know what we need to do?
Hold on.
Oh, hold on.
We're right there, buddy. Hold on.
Give us a minute, Adam. You will.
You will. Hello. I got this.
You know, it's kind of sad. I legitimately, and you guys are probably going to think I'm pulling your leg, I legitimately can't eat anywhere in the city.
Because he is a vegan.
Right. I legitimately haven't eaten food from this city. That's not 100%
Cafe
true.
Arpeggio has a
Chinese
veggie
food
pocket.
that I can eat, but I try not to even eat that garbage. But I legitimately have not eaten out at a local restaurant in the city in over 6 years. And it's sad because I know the food is good here. I used to enjoy it, but it's a sad situation. I didn't call to talk about anything serious or anything even political at all. I just called to what happened the last Sunday at the you guys had a team in the wiffle ball tournament.
You're gonna call about the wiffle ball game that you guys beat us in? That's what you wanted to call?
Well, I mean,
ball?
I know because I thought you were gonna
event?
bring something. I thought you were gonna bring something. You brought nothing.
All right, thank you.
Ooh.
Hey, why don't you go eat somewhere outside the city that you love so much?
I can't even do that. You know the funny thing is the closest place to me where I can actually get like a decent menu selection is Chipotle in Dartmouth.
You know what? That's actually not a bad place. I would love to see one in Fall River, but we all know that's probably not going to happen.
I wouldn't. I would like to see somebody maybe open a restaurant.
I want to see someone open a restaurant that's not already and around the area that, you know, we'd have to go so far. And like, you know, Rhode Island's going to be getting a Sonic I think by next week they're going to open, or it's either this Friday they're opening. I mean, something new.
I was a little surprised at how seriously everybody was taking wiffle ball on Sunday, sir. Very surprised.
I want to get back to wiffle ball in 1 second, but you know, myself, my wife, and her cousin had actually we had toyed around with the idea of opening a vegan/vegetarian restaurant, something really small in the city.
Awesome.
But
well, Adam,
unfortunately,
I think
a lot
that's
of
a great
people
idea.
just too busy to do anything like that right now. Yeah, and honestly, it's not really a huge undertaking. It's just that the time that you'd have to spend at a place like that, you know, you'd have to, you know, be there a lot. And unfortunately, we don't have the time with full-time jobs and kids to do that. As far as the
Well, you
wiffle
guys
ball,
have plenty of time to practice
I
wiffle
get-
ball, though.
I get that it's for charity, and that's fine, and that's why we all donated the money we donated. But once we set foot on the field, I mean, those of us that play the game on a relatively regular basis.
Literally taking this way too seriously right now, even in this conversation.
Well, it's like anything that you truly enjoy or you like to do. I mean, for me, it's not so much about the actual plastic ball and bat. It's competition. Like, I love competition. I don't care if it's, physical competition is the greatest. I don't care if we're playing a game of chess or a game of Nintendo. But if we're out there playing, you know, can jam or wiffle ball or football, you know, whatever the case may be, I mean, competition is where it's at. It's the only time I truly feel alive.
Are you just now, are you spiking the football and dancing in the end zone right now? Is that what you're doing right now?
I'm getting pretty amped up. I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty. I'm ready to rock and roll if we're gonna do this.
All right.
But I understand you have a radio show to conduct.
It's wiffle ball. And
It is wiffle
congratulations
ball.
on your win. Hey, congratulations on your win. And
And this is why wiffle ball is such a good sport, because it literally, it's from 2 to 90. Because, you know, a little kid can walk out there and throw the plastic ball and bat around, or, you know,
Better than
someone who's, you know, we'll just say, you know, mid to late 30s can, you know, hone their craft and, you know, really, anyway, I'll let you guys go, and
thank you.
great job.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye. Wiffle ball.
That-
he.
Go ahead.
No, by all means, guys.
So that call was probably just as bad as the Indianapolis fake punt. Yeah, we're going there.
But he mentioned that him and his wife wanted to do a vegan.
A vegan restaurant.
Go ahead.
No, I'm agreeing with you.
I don't want to cut anybody off.
No.
All right.
I'm listening.
Vegan restaurant that that him and his wife want to do. Now, in my opinion, that kind of thing is what people should do. If they're not happy about something that's going on, they should get involved and start, you know, doing their own thing, which I think is a smart thing to do. You have another one. Hello, you're on City Talk Fall River.
I'm yelling at Derek in his message box, and he's not listening to me.
It's because my phone's not near me right now. Oh, there you are.
You guys thought about Flint Restaurant. That is the best breakfast diner ever.
What place is that?
The Flint Restaurant on the corner of Flint and Pleasant Street. There's this one lady, she's owned it forever. She cooks everything
Oh, I know
fresh.
what
Her
she's talking
prices
about.
are great.
It's the
So good.
it's that breakfast diner on the corner. I know what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, it's been there forever. My dad used to take me there when I was a kid every Wednesday. I'll never forget it. Even to this day, you walk by there, all you could smell is eggs and bacon. It is so good.
That's awesome.
And Nikki, isn't it Carvella, not Caravella?
I have no idea.
Mm.
I've heard it
I'm-
both
I'm gonna-
ways. I've heard it both ways. I have no clue how it's said. Don't even care. All I know is the steak tastes great. And when they answer the phone, I don't have to say the name of the restaurant. So don't matter.
Yeah. And you know, food festival would probably be a very good way to bring in some tourists to the city, because you're very much right. I mean, we have great food.
Yes, we do. I've heard we
That's
have
really
such
all.
great charisse that it's created like mass chaos in places because they've run out.
Well, I send Sharice down to Florida. That people love it down there.
That's crazy talk.
When I was in the military down in Florida, my mom used to send zip-packed charisse down there to me as well. It's pretty awesome.
Coffee milk.
Yeah.
Coffee milk.
They don't know what
Yep.
autocat is down there either. So we send my family out there. We send them autocrat and Sharice.
I'm pretty sure that's the official drink of Rhode Island.
No.
It
Mhm.
is the official drink of Rhode Island, actually. They base their chocolate milk on everything. They even got some really bomb coffee ice cream out there because they use the autocrat. Oh, so good.
Bomb.
Bomb.
But I didn't watch the debates last night, so I don't really have any opinions or anything to say on that. I'll watch those this afternoon.
So we'll hear from you tomorrow on those.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, considering, you know, I'm yelling at your message box and nobody's listening.
All right. Well, I have my phone available. I have my phone out. So anything you need to talk in, and I'll bring it into the conversation for you. How's that?
There you go. You got to keep it open for me.
Sure.
All right, guys. You guys have a great morning, and don't forget the Flint restaurant. I don't think she gets enough business over there. We got to keep her going.
Actually, I think my favorite pizza in the city's in the Flint too. Pizza Time.
Yes.
That's probably my favorite slice in the entire city.
And the old Marquise Chinese restaurant, it's now called Quane's, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, best fried rice ever. Their fried rice. Their other food is kind of gross, but they got the best fried rice. They
The
actually
vegan-
put the egg
That
and the...
vegan fried rice over there.
Yeah, I go there and I just buy their fried rice.
Oh, okay. You said everything else is
I'm
great,
one.
you said, right?
I go to Happy Garden for the other items because they're better over there.
Don't we all?
Every kid in the forum is going to Happy Garden right now.
Like, I'm particular about my food, especially in the city, because it's so good here. Like, you got to mix and match things to get great things.
I can easily say that my favorite breakfast place is 609 Cafe on what is it there, Locust Street. Excellent. But everyone has their thing, and that's the great thing about having variety is everyone's going to have their own. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, and I like when people come up with the local businesses, like the little places that you wouldn't think of just stopping and going in and stopping at. Like, those are the places that we really need to get out there, because those are the people who are making the best food.
I like, breakfast places. I like to go all over the city. You got Alice's in the South End, right before you get to Tiverton. You have Gina's right in the North End. I mean, there's some great areas to eat breakfast. George's Hot Dogs is awesome. So really good stuff, man.
Little Will's for lunch.
Where is George's? It's not on Pleasant Street anymore.
Rogers.
I'm sorry, I said George's. My bad. I meant to say Rogers Hot Dogs. My bad. Yeah, Rogers is on North Main Street.
You thinking George's root beer?
Yeah, Rogers is the good one. Rogers has got that little store in the back of it. I like Rogers.
You guys remember King Philip's ice cream?
I don't.
I don't either.
Oh, all right. That was off South Main Street. I used to live in that area on what was it, Benjamin Street, right off of South Main, and right around the corner there was King Philip's Hot Dogs, and then there was it
was Jeff's ice cream.
Jeff's ice cream. Yeah, Jeff's ice cream.
I was wondering. I'm thinking
King Philip's Hot Dogs across the street.
Yes, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. I was full-blown pregnant walking all the way up Grove Street for that ice cream.
That was amazing.
And I took it every day.
I was really, really overweight when I was a little kid, and I think part of that was because I used to go to Jeff's ice cream.
Oh, it was so good.
Yeah. Excellent.
It was really good.
All right, my friend. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, you guys have a very good morning. I'll be listening in.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll make sure Derek's checking his inboxes.
I will.
Yes, I'm yelling at it.
Take care.
Wow.
But, bye, guys. Coffee.
Bye.
Bye.
I love when we get phone calls. It's like the best. It's my favorite part of it.
I think our callers are the best.
Yes.
Man, this has just been like a big fat kid celebration of food right now. I'm so happy.
But you know what's awesome is that we can all, like, in the conversation that we're having, we're very proud of where we come from. And to say that we're always negative. No, we're literally sitting here talking about how awesome our food is.
Danielle brought up the old Mark U restaurant, and the one thing I remember from Mark U was that you could just order a side of like the French fries and
Gravy.
Oh my dear God, I could eat that all day and be absolutely happy. That was, I don't know what it was probably the most simple thing in the world, but it was so good.
I agree.
I mean, and the thing is that you can't find that you don't find that anywhere else. I mean, you find it in Florida, you may see it in New Bedford, but you go like Taunton, they don't know. They don't even no clue.
I will say this: Boston Pizza on Tucker Street sells poutine. Do you know what that is?
Yes, I do. I love poutine.
So it's kind of a little on the similar side. Just don't ask for cheese.
Yes, well, just so everyone knows, poutine's it's mainly of a Canadian thing. It's the fries and the gravy, but it has the cheese curds on it. Absolutely phenomenal. By the way, just throwing that out there.
So all these places and wonderful food and the positivity. See,
Moving on.
the two gentlemen to my right are kind of busy at the moment.
I'm doing some research on the charter school situation still. I wanted to double check and triple check to make sure that we were accurate, because I'm thinking, I heard Sam Sutter say that there were 3 charter schools, but I know Argosy, if I'm pronouncing it correctly,
Argosy.
and of course Atlantis, but
No, you were correct. There's only 2.
there is only 2.
Yeah.
Okay, because I heard him say 3, and again, we're talking about hoping that he is accurate, and as the mayor, you want him to be as accurate as possible. But the problem is when he's trying to portray someone else as being misinformed, immature, lacking experience, then the onus is on that mayor to make sure his information is accurate as well. And again, if he's right and there are 3 charter schools in Fall River, by all means, but I thought there was 2. I'm pretty sure there was only 2.
I only thought of 2, but I could, something could have happened within the last couple of years.
I believe that Atlantis Charter School, even though they have more than one location, I think because there are 2 locations, I think it's considered 2. Like,
Upper and lower.
if somebody was looking for the information quickly,
Mhm.
they might have not read the actual names. They might have just seen
A list
1,
of
2, 3 and said,
Right.
oh, there's 3. Even though there isn't 3, it's just Atlantis is listed as 2 separate,
I see.
upper and lower.
I see.
So that's probably where the confusion lies. Though I mean, I always thought Atlantis was K through 8, regardless of the fact that there was that separation. But oh, all right. Well, now we have that at least clarified.
And then when we look at like the funding and the money, right? There'll never be a situation where you're going to fund the upper and not the lower. I'm assuming, right?
Well, it depends on attendance or how many classrooms they have. Or I will say from my experience, I am very close to pulling my daughter out of the public school system and moving her over to charter school.
Is that going to cost you?
It is not.
Oh, that'd be great.
I wouldn't have to pay for it. Unfortunately, it does cost the city because the Fall River Public Schools will no longer get the funding for my child. Charter schools will get it. And that's actually one of the points that Sutter brought up last night, which upset me a little bit because that was one of his reasons that we shouldn't have more charter schools, was because of the loss to the financial backing of that one particular student.
Right.
More students that go over to charter, the less money the Fall River Public School system sees.
And that's, I mean, when we start talking about charter versus public, we have to start bringing in the union conversation, especially when politics start getting involved. So it's one of those situations where, you have to wonder how genuine our politicians are being in all this. Are they really looking at the statistics? Are they breaking things down, or are they gonna try to be pandering to specific groups out there? So I got a message. There are 3 Atlantis sites that go up to 12th grade. That goes up to 12th grade. I didn't want to say the other word he typed by accident.
Yeah.
Another person told me that it's a lottery, so you may not be able to just transfer.
It is a lottery.
Yeah, so you'd have to throw your name in the hat.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, that's basically how it
That's
worked
okay,
out
because
for
see,
you.
according to Sam Sutter, he said that there aren't that many students who are transferring from the public schools over to the charter schools. So I don't think I'll have a problem.
That's a disingenuous answer, I believe, as well.
But we'll see when it gets there, right?
Well, I mean, you look at the current status of the Fall River Public School system in regards to the teacher status. We know that we know there's short teachers in certain classrooms. They want to bring the other school back online for next year. Where are they going to get the teachers to teach that? I mean, people are not sticking around in the city because and for whatever reason. I mean, we can all try to figure out what the real reasons are why they're not staying. I mean, that's on them. However, the consistent thing that you say is that, people want, I mean, I don't think there's anybody that wants to see a student fail. I don't think there's any teacher that goes into that profession saying, I want to see a student fail. I doubt that. However, I don't think the student failing is going to be what makes a teacher not want to come back. It is, if you're a teacher and you have zero support, you're kind of just left out there. And if you're kind of left out there to dry, why do you want to be there? I mean, I don't know of any job that would want you to be out there with no support and allowing you to potentially fail, not because you want to, because you have no means to succeed. It's crazy.
We hear a lot. We hear Sutter talk a lot about Jazel's age. He's too young. He's inexperienced. Take a walk through all of our schools and talk to the teachers, especially the newer teachers. The majority of them are very, very young, like extremely young, straight out of college. I mean,
Straight out of college.
my daughter literally, she finally got a math teacher. However, there's two.
Hello, you're on the City Talk Fall River.
Hi, TJ. It's Tara. How are you?
Hey, what's up, Tara? How you doing?
Good, good. I was calling to tell Nikki about the charter schools. Atlanta's charter now has a high school, and I put my kid in there, and I could not be happier.
Nice.
And there's also that Argosy school that you were talking about.
Yep.
What grade is your daughter in?
My daughter is in 6th.
So Argosy is taking this year 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. They're taking applications right now for next year.
Yeah, I spoke with someone.
Oh, they are so awesome.
I know.
My best friend's daughter got in there for 6th grade.
Yep.
And they really push financial literacy through the entire, you're there for 9 years, you know, you're there from 6th grade to 12th grade. And financial literacy is in every year class. There's very strict on talking and what you can talk about and how quiet you are. And it's all run on demerits, a merit and demerit system. And I got to say, her daughter could not be happier. She says when she takes tests, all you hear is people's pencils moving. And I know how smart your daughter is, and I thought for sure that would be a place where she could flourish, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. It actually wasn't even me. It was my daughter who seems to be,
see?
well, the thing that happens when she comes home and she'll tell me that there are children who do interrupt. There are kids who do interrupt the class. And I say, you know, do you say something about it? And her response is typically, Mom, the teachers won't do anything even if we do tell them.
Pretty much.
So, and not that
And it
that's
just makes her life harder. People
Right.
are like, oh, you're a tattletale or whatever.
and it's just the thing that she can't, if the class is constantly being disrupted, how can they learn?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And they're
Yeah.
not, they're teaching all of the kids pretty much the same basic things. She gets very bored.
And that's the great thing about a charter school, too. Now, charter schools can hire union teachers, but they are not forced to. So, therefore, they can performance-based fire teachers, you know? So, they are not forced to keep them because they're union contracted. So, it gives them so much more of an advantage. And also, as far as, like, the kid doing better, like, my best friend's daughter, her daughter's really smart, and one subject is her favorite, is math. And the math teacher already called saying, you know, I really want to move her to the next level. But they would stay right in the same class, but be able to teach more to a couple of students than they are to the others, you know?
See, that's great.
And the teachers are really, really hands-on. They called her, they do trimesters there instead of quarters. So the first trimester is just ending, and they've already called and said, oh, we're really interested in moving her along in this, and if we can work together as a team, the family and the teacher, like, and this is him taking time out of his day at 6 o'clock at night to touch base with the parents, find out, you know, do you have siblings? What can I work with her with? You know, it's absolutely amazing school.
That's awesome. I have a question for you. You said that your child is in the high school for charter?
Yeah, he was in the gifted program since 4th grade, 3rd grade when they tested him. They put him in gifted at 4th. And he did Sylvia School, which is like the best school, public school in the world. I wish it never ended. And then they moved him to CUS. And so I've had this discussion with you guys before. I just started they were pushing way too hard. You know, I just lost my kid. He stood on the honor roll, but mentally I lost a 12-year-old, you know. So I decided to go with the charter high school. I figured smaller class size, it's got to be. And it really is. They do good for them. There's only 69 kids in the 9th grade class.
Oh, wow.
So you figure you break that up amongst 4 or 5 classes. I mean, the kids got like 16 kids in a classroom.
Now, does your child say anything about bullying? How's the bullying situation?
He's never said anything. He doesn't have an issue with it. I mean, I did go in there the other day to drop off something, and I did see kind of an outbreak that I guess I was more expecting at a public school with a little girl kind of having a fit, yelling at the teachers and stuff. But they seem to have handled it well. Like I said, I didn't expect it there, but it is a lottery. You get all kinds of kids, and they deal with it, you know. But he's never said anything about the bullying. So I don't know where that stands on that. But with so many less kids in the class, it's got to be a lot easier, you know. I know Argosy, because I went to all the meetings for that, they were really big on the no tolerance with the bullying stuff. So Argosy, when you walk in there, you are literally, they shake each and every kid's hand on the way in the morning. And they say that
It's more important to look in the kids' eyes and ask, like, how was your day? You know, how are you this morning? How was breakfast? And just let the kid know that they care. And they say they get so much better progress out of the kid during the day.
I know a few kids that had changed from public school to charter school. One student I know was having a very, very hard time in the public school, crying almost every day. He was being picked on every day. Had a hard time academically. He's been in Argosy, and knock on wood, the kid's been doing great. He's got tutoring, and he said himself he loves that he actually has to work more because he's not being bothered so much on the bullying end of it.
That's amazing.
A few other students I know who weren't doing so well in the public school are thriving like big time at Argosy. So there's a few reasons.
I definitely think the charter schools are a great option. And I'm really against Sam saying that, you know, less money. Why would you need that money if you're not teaching my child anymore? You put a dollar amount on these children. I think it's $5,000 a head. You put a dollar amount on those children and then said if they're in the public school, they get $5,000 for that head. So when they're not in the public school, why would you need that $5,000? What are you complaining about? You just like he said with our trash bags, like by us privatizing wasn't going to hurt the city. It would only help the city because they wouldn't have them to service.
Boom.
I see that the same way with the children. You don't have that child to service. Therefore, you don't need that $5,000. I don't understand how he can see it one way on one side and not see it that way on the other side, you know?
Yeah. Tara, I wanted to throw out there. I'm having a conversation right now with someone on in my inbox, and they were explaining to me that there's a lot of effort to keep parents involved in the charter school with their students. So much so that right isn't their enrollment kind of dependent on it a little bit?
Yes, it is, and you are required to volunteer. Now, each child is required hours, like 10 hours a year, and each parent is required.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing because we all know how important it is for parents to be involved in their children's education, you know?
Absolutely. And even if it's just a bake sale or something, just that hands-on, just looking in the kids' eyes, getting to know who your kids are seeing every day. And then it helps so much because they're not paying staff overtime to be there for bake sales at night, you know?
Awesome. Yeah, that's
so it only benefits our children.
That's a great point.
And they do have exceptions, like, you know, if you work 2 jobs and you can't make your volunteer hours, you can offer money instead of volunteering because somebody's going to be there, you know?
Right.
So I'm really all for it. I think if public schools offered more of this, they'd get further. I don't know if anyone saw it on the news this morning on, I don't know what channel I was watching, but they were talking about a school in New York, I believe, where there's a charter school and a public school in the same exact building. One's on one floor and the other one is up on the 5th floor. And that the public school has 0% proficiency for their students.
Wow.
I know it's standardized testing, but regardless, 0% there. And then just upstairs on the 5th floor, there is a charter school, and they have 96% proficiency.
Wow.
Amazing.
The same students, all taken from a lottery, so they're from the same neighborhoods, you know what I'm saying? Don't tell me better kids or whatever. They're from the same neighborhoods. They were chosen by a lottery, but yet the charter schools can teach them better than the public schools can. So obviously, we're doing something wrong here. If the public schools could learn from the charter schools, you know?
There was a couple other things too. I just wanted to throw out there. They do Common Core, correct?
Yes, I hate it. I had this whole argument with the teacher when I moved him there. I called it Communist Core, and he laughed at me.
But they do have classes for parents to try to help them understand the concepts, right?
They do, and as does the public school. I know Sylvia School was really good with that. A couple of times a year, they would have these parent workshops where you could learn what your kids were learning to understand the new math and all that crap. But I think both schools are pretty much trying to do that. Like both public and charter are trying to inform the parents, but I just don't know if they're going far enough yet, you know?
Well, I could tell you from the public school side that they do have their workshops and all this stuff. However, for me, when my oldest was in school, I would be more involved. I was at the school every single day. I knew all the teachers. I would go on field trips with classes where my child wasn't even a part of that. However, with my youngest, I've noticed that a lot has changed within the schools themselves. Parents aren't
Absolutely.
allowed. Parents aren't allowed to go in like they used to and volunteer like they used to. You can do it through the PTO, but anybody in the public school PTOs, it's pretty much just as almost like politics. It's
Right.
if you're not a certain person, you can't do anything. And even if you try, like I had at my daughter's previous school, I tried to be a part of the PTO. They didn't want me; they wanted my boyfriend.
Oh, okay.
So he could do more of the work, but it was more of like a bossy kind of thing. It wasn't like, do you have the time? Do you think you guys could please help? You can't have both of us.
Right.
You can't have both of us there. We do have a house that we have to take care of as well. So I think that sometimes the public school PTOs, you're expected too much, and you're not considered a part of it. So it's only when they want your help that's when they'll go out for it. But for those parents, like we can't have a bake sale. If you have a bake sale, you have to go out and buy the stuff. It's already going to be pre-made with the labels on it. That's that.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch.
So you
See, a lot
talking
of that disconnect between parents and teachers is what
Right.
gets these horrible test grades or kids dreading going to school, you know?
the fun is out of it. Remember when we were kids and we used to have a lot of the extracurricular stuff? They don't do any of that anymore. It's like a business. It's literally like a business. Yeah. It's labor intensive.
No, it's like, it's all politically correct. Like, heaven forbid you volunteered and, you know, now I got to do 18 million background checks on you. Like, how is that any different than my kid going to the park and playing baseball and some guy came over and decided to play baseball with them? Like, it used to be nicer when we were kids. Now they're so worried about being PC about everything. I think they're hurting our children more than helping them.
My daughter actually yesterday came home with a paper. She received a detention for Friday at 3 p.m. They had a substitute. Listen, they had a substitute.
Huh?
She received detention along with what she says. Now, she's my child, so I can't say that I can believe the numbers. She said 20 students all received detention from this same substitute. Now, the paper that I received at home doesn't say detention on it. What it says and what they call it is before and after school work period form. They consider it a before or after school work period. If my daughter is being punished because it says she has to serve it for rude and disrespectful behavior to the substitute, which was her getting up to get her agenda book according to her, it's considered a work period. I don't want my daughter to be taught that work is a punishment. Work is not a punishment. That is not a punishment. For rude and disrespectful behavior, you do not get a work period. That to me is just
almost like they're grooming them for politics. You know, do something wrong and we just bump you up.
Yeah. Like what I did today was I reached out to the teacher. I sent her a letter and asked her for a detailed explanation of what the rude and disrespectful behavior my daughter had. You can't just tell me my daughter's rude and disrespectful and not tell me how. What is
no? And then if you do prove that okay, whoever did this is rude and disrespectful, then tell them they're being punished for it. Don't tell them they're going to work.
Yeah, it's considered a work period, and I didn't like that very much. So I considered it's a detention. That's what it's called. It's a detention. If you did something wrong, you're going to get punished for it, but you're not going to have to be punished with work. Work isn't a punishment. Work is something I'm teaching my daughter to aspire
school,
to.
They used to call it stop and think. You had to go to the stop and think room, but at least they understood. Maybe they didn't, in elementary school, maybe you don't understand what the word detention means, but stop and think has a pretty good definition to it. You did something wrong. Now stop and think about what you've done.
It's better than
understand that.
It's better than work period. Because I'll be honest, when I read that paper, all I could think was work release. Yeah. Like a jail program. When you're in jail and you do good, they put you on the work release program. You're not putting my child in a work release program. That's kind of how I feel about it. So don't set my child up to already think work is punishment. It's not.
Absolutely.
Work is a priority for her future.
This is the problem with the public schools. This is the problem. And I hate to say that because, like I said, we went through public schools just fine. Mm-hmm. But I don't know what's been going on in the meantime, but it's definitely not a place I want my child anymore.
Well, thanks so much for calling about this topic. It means a lot to me.
Oh, I knew it did, so I just wanted to share what I knew. I'm glad you've got a lot of info on it, and I think your daughter would definitely thrive there.
Me too.
I wish you the best. Have a good day, guys.
Thank you.
Awesome phone call.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Awesome. Awesome phone call.
One thing I actually just thought about is like when we were talking about all of the differences between the charter schools and public schools. There is a. What's so funny?
Rick Barlow.
Oh,
Why is it we're on the radio? Okay, I just need to say this. This is Nikki's tangent for a minute.
Please.
If there's a side conversation going on, don't bring it up on the radio.
listen! Look who's putting his hand up for a high
I
five
know,
and
because he did it this morning.
who's doing it the most. All right, fine. New rule.
New rule, man.
All in favor?
I
Aye.
Sure.
present.
Yes.
One thing about the charter schools.
You ever say present? If you get elected, I'm gonna be down there going, what?
I'm gonna tell you this right now. Voting for council president, if I'm in the seat, that's gonna be one of those things where I might vote. I have no idea. I have no clue right now.
Well, how could you? We have no idea who was elected.
Yeah, well, we're gonna know. We're gonna learn today. Okay, what are you gonna say?
So one of the things that you do see in the charter school is the fact that you have a much better environment for learning, and it doesn't matter if you're in school, it doesn't matter if it's in the workplace. If the environment is conducive to being more of a teamwork environment and it's less of a bullying environment, you are going to thrive way better in that condition anyway. So I mean, that was one of the things that I've always seen that has been better in an environment for in the charter school versus public. So that's all I have.
Nice.
Wow.
I thought that her phone call was excellent. Probably one of the better ones we've had. And the show is always better, in my opinion, when people are interactive calling in. So thanks to everybody who's been calling so far. That charter school situation, the Common Core piece of this, I actually posted on my Facebook page the type of math that they are doing now, where they're breaking down. Like it was 20 plus 3 was the math problem, and instead of just simply adding 3 to 20, they are now breaking down the 20 into 10s and 5s and 1s and breaking it all down, and then you have to then add at the very end the same way you would add in the beginning. It's all backwards in my opinion. I'm not 100% sure why they've chosen to go down this road. Just makes it more difficult in my opinion. But I like the fact that schools are trying to help parents get on board with how to do it, because honestly, if I had a child and they brought that math problem to me, I'd just do it the old way and say, hey, whatever. I don't know what to
Do you
tell
know how many times I have done that? No, literally, I'm not even joking. How many times, like I had to go online and look up how to do that math. And every time she has a problem, I have to go back and help because I get so frustrated. And this is literally me. Why does it have to take 15 minutes to answer this question when I already know the answer?
Yeah, the craziest thing is that you have 15 steps to solve a problem, whereas the way we were taught when we were in elementary, even in high school, it took like 15 seconds. I don't understand it. I really don't get it. It's overcomplicating. I mean, well, what are they doing? What they're doing is they're overcomplicating the way to get to the solution, but they're using nice round numbers to add. So by the time you're done with it, you're adding easy numbers together, but it still doesn't take the place of the fact that you're spending 10 times longer on a problem to figure it out.
The reasons I've gotten when I've asked why we have to do math like this, why the kids have to do it, they tell me is because it's so they can learn to do math in their head. Like they could just see a number and automatically know what it is. Well, I'm almost 40 and I could do that.
Yeah.
But you give me a problem and tell me to solve it. And that's what the frustrating part. She comes to me with a problem that's like 10 plus 30 or what have you, 10 times 30. And it takes me forever to answer that question. I don't like it.
I've had discussions about Common Core with friends and with I mean, I look at people and like, why are you doing it this way? I mean, and my nephew, even my nephew is showing me how he's solving a problem. I'm looking at this, I'm like, I'm sorry. I went through college. I have a minor in mathematics. I'm pretty sure I know what the deal is in math. And what he's doing is well beyond what I ever wanted to know. I'm like, oh my God, this is so horrible.
And that was just 20 plus 3, right?
I know.
What about division, multiplication? From what I understand, you have to become like an artist. You have to draw like nice boxes and all these different things, and you have to keep all these.
I don't
numbers in
understand
line.
it. I look at it and I'm like, why the hell would you go through all of that when you know the damn answer? It's simple. Boom.
What about that check mark line thing back in when we used to do division? I like that thing. Remember that? Psh, psh. Then you do the division, break it down.
You know what
It was
happens
awesome.
when my kid asks me for help?
Ancient.
I feel like my brain just doesn't allow it. My brain doesn't compute.
It does
That-
not compute.
It doesn't. It does not compute that information. It's like my brain is saying that's not how you were taught to do it. Don't do it like that. That's wrong. This is how you do it.
Well, it's a repetitive habit. You were taught one way. It's been proven. If you've been doing something for so long and you try to switch your habit, you're going to go back. You're going to originally go back to what you always know how to do. I mean,
My math habit is bad.
well, I'm just saying that with me, when my math is just the way I learned it, and if someone was to try to teach me core,
Yeah.
I'd literally have to go do a Billy Madison and go from kindergarten to 12 all in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because I can't do it. I've tried. I legit tried to figure it out. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Give me a regular problem. I'm
It's
good.
awful though, because when they first started doing it, and I would they had these little parent things that you would go to and they would explain it to you. They would put the problem on the board and ask the class to answer the question. So you would have half the class giving the right answer, but the other half is giving the wrong answer. So then they have to sit there and do the work. So now they have to do that work and then explain that work to the kids who don't get it. Meanwhile, the kids who do get it are just sitting there wasting time
Nice,
listening to the lesson on how to get it, even though they already get it.
That's crazy.
They're
It's
never gonna get it.
that, and they're never gonna get it. Never gonna get it.
Once again, we go to En Vogue. No, I have. I always had a problem with this, even in math, way back when I was in school. Why did you have to keep on showing the work all the time? I'm like, look, I know the answer.
Mhm.
Like, Liz, let me get the answer. Let me move on to the next thing. I have to
Do you ever
have
just
a blank
write the work
paper.
in?
Right, yeah.
You knew the answer, but you just put the work in.
Yeah, it's just like I'm put the answer down, and I'm like, I'm gonna go back and write all the work on this blank piece of paper. After I bring in my test, it was so
Maybe that's why
pointless
they
to
did
me.
it. So you had to show your work.
Yeah, and I'm 35 years old, and I still to this day have not learned the value of why I had to break down 8 times 8. You know what I mean? Like, just let me just do it. Let me just bring it to you. It's 64, right? Like, great, sweet. I just wanted to understand that. I didn't understand why I always had to do that. And it wasn't because I was lazy. Bring me more problems. I didn't want to have to write why I knew that answer. It's crazy.
I agree. Like I used to say that too. Why do I have to tell you how I got that answer? Is the answer right? That'd be like me cooking you a dinner, you saying it's great. Now I want to know exactly what steps you used to make that.
All right. Now, you touched on a topic, though, that people actually do want to know the work. Because chicken soup, for example.
Yeah, but once you know the work, do you have to go back and always
Oh,
write down
no.
the recipe,
I
or
don't
can you
have
just
to.
cook it?
No, I know, but I'm saying what other people want to know. When they eat something, they want to know, and they're trying to eat it, and they're trying to guess it, and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
When it comes to a recipe, you know what I mean? But when it comes to math, stop it. You know what I mean? Just people leave me alone. Let me get my answer, and that's it. I'll keep the work to myself. Just saying. Just throwing it out there. So
We're not for Common Core.
I know, and that's enough for Common Core for me. So tomorrow we're supposed to have one Mayor Sam Sutter.
Told you he would not call today.
He was going to supposedly call today, but I ended up getting a call on Sunday from one of his representatives asking about the show, asking what time the show starts, all that kind of stuff. And they decided to call in on Friday. So we'll find out. Now, remember George Thompson back on BCC Radio? Remember Snafu Radio, right? George, almost every week, would come out and say, hey, Sam Sutter's going to come on. And he didn't. And I vividly remember that one time that he believed fully that Sam Sutter was going to come on the show. And he was so disappointed. He played alternative rock songs sad alternative rock songs for almost 2 hours on BCC Radio. It was very, very sad. I can tell you guys right now with full certainty that if Sam Sutter does not call into the show tomorrow, we will not be playing sad rock songs.
He's not
90s
calling.
alternative.
Like I said last week, he's not calling in. He won't.
By the way,
I'll be surprised if he does. Sorry.
No, that's my fault. By the way, just to dismiss any rumors, the only reason why we won't be playing any sad songs because YouTube will have our throats because we can't play any of that stuff.
Yes.
So
That's part of the reason
I wouldn't
why.
play a sad song.
We can sing sad songs.
I would just be like, I knew he wasn't going to call in.
I personally, here's my
I would
reasoning.
love for him to.
Here's my reasoning for having Sam Sutter call in. Last week, Jazel Correa called in. 20 minutes or so, he talked on the line. And, obviously, we've talked about our opinions on the show since the day we started in January as not really agreeing in many capacities at all with the way that the policies of Flanagan and now Sutter, the direction that they've gone. So when Jazel called into the show, we were more in agreement with what he was saying. There was a lot of concepts and policies and things like that, proposals that we agreed with. So I extended the branch out to Sam Sutter to let him understand that, though we don't agree on many topics here, you still have the opportunity because Jazel had the opportunity. And I just want to be as fair as possible with this show. This show has always been about trying to get the opposite view and opposing view. So he'll have that opportunity tomorrow. Because I'm running for, again, yeah.
Oh, I'm like, because I want the opportunity to speak to him. I don't care about anything else. I want every candidate, every single candidate out there. Nikki, would love for you to call in. I'll ask you questions.
Right. And
That's what I want.
And that's the point of this show, is this show was never about my campaign, my political aspirations. It was never about that at all. It's always been about talking about the city topics and getting all the views. So that's why for me, I have no problem having Sam Sutter, Jazel Correa, Jason Caminiti, Rich Cabacera, whoever.
Dan Rigo, we've had a
Right.
long list.
Right.
Show, who else have we had calling?
And it's not an opportunity for me to
Mike
try to
Rios.
debate them and build my campaign up. Again, this has always been about city talk, city talk, city talk. So
It's about
that's what it's
Nikki.
always going to be.
It's about Nikki asking sanitation questions.
Nikki's amped up right now. He's a little amped up right now.
Oh, I'm depressed because he didn't call in today.
Well, he did say to me he was going to call in on Friday, so we'll find out what's going to happen on Friday. And we just got a
Typical
message
man
from Mike
making me
DeOliveira.
wait.
Oh boy. So Mike DeOliveira texted in. He said that George played Creed, which was just
Nice.
hilarious to me. I am dying over here. That's the next that's the next thing. So anyway, going back, we're also going to hopefully have Jason Burns on, which I'm a little I would like to get Jason Burns. He's one of those guys that I've wanted to talk to for a little while. We're finally seeing some of these proposals coming out, finally getting some breathing apparatuses out there, trucks we're talking about. It's campaign season. We're always going to be able to get those things started on campaign season. But I want to see how involved everybody is once the campaign's to the fire department. I think that they've been put through the ringer during the Flanagan administration.
For years,
Yes.
years and years.
I think that they've been politicized a lot now. I'd like to see some stability. I'd like to see them, get at least the equipment they need. When it comes to salaries, I think that's always going to be a big tug of war when you're talking about salaries in comparison to what the taxpayer can afford. But as far as the safety piece goes, they need it. They need it. They should get it. And there's really you're not going to get any argument from me out of that as far as that goes.
Mhm.
I think Jazel's in the right here. Talking about getting trucks for now. I think that the proposal that Sam Sutter talked about last night, 2 years from now, getting the trucks later on from 2 years with the lower interest rate. That's a good idea for stability in the future. But at the same exact time, going for right now, the safety needs right now is is what we should be looking at. And so I would side with Jason Correa as far as trying to get those trucks ASAP. Because I've seen some of the trucks that have been driving by, and I'm like, come on, man.
If I'm not
Like, seriously.
If I'm not mistaken, one of the trucks is actually now out of commission because the brakes are locked up on it, or fell off, or something to that effect. See, the one question that I do have for Jay Burns would be, what kind of schedule are we looking at if all 6 trucks are purchased, if all 6 pumps are purchased? Is it going to be like once one is complete, we get it, or are they going to have to wait till all 6 are done and then we get them all, or how is that going to work? I mean, because as you know, Linda made it very clear that it would probably be better to purchase 2 now than 2 next year and then 2 the year after. But if in the plan it's going to automatically be like that, when we purchase them now, then it makes 0 difference. So I think that was a piece of information that we would like to have up front. The other thing is that also getting all of the amount of apparatus that we would need for the breathing apparatus. Is that going to be sufficient for all of the firehouses? Will that cover the need? Will that do what we need? And then we go on from there. Wow. I'm not going there. And then of course it would also be nice to see if we can get any explanation as to, or if there's any way we can find out like how long it's been since they've really gotten anything, because we have to try to keep everything fair between all of the departments. And if we're having that kind of an issue, we want to make sure that we address that.
We got another phone call here. Hello, you're on City Talk Fall River.
Is this truck just a flea?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. How are you, sir?
Oh my gosh.
I'm doing well, and I've been listening to the show, and I'm quite happy with how the show's been going. I apologize for the confusion. I was supposed to call tomorrow, but I had a chance, so I called in today.
Nice.
May I, just for the purposes of identification, may I ask exactly who's calling?
Well, I'm not sure the question, but I mean, how are we wording this again? Could you repeat the question?
Who is on the other line with me right now?
Well, I think you should know this by now. I think you know that I know that you know, and quite frankly, I'm disappointed that you don't know.
I would like to know exactly who's on the other line before we continue this conversation, so that way our listeners are not confused as to who I am speaking with right now.
Well, my name is actually Clifford, but my friends call me Sam.
Okay. Boy. I think it was gonna go in a different direction.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite restaurant?
Oh, that's a doozy right there. That's a doozy.
What's your favorite bar?
Say that again?
What's your favorite bar? How about that? We'll break it down a little more.
Copper.
Oh, the one closest to my house.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Now, I know you were talking about charter schools before. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Now, I know about Atlantis, but what was the other one again? I believe, what was RGG, what was it?
Argosy.
Argosy.
Could you spell that?
ARGOSY.
ARGSO, I believe that's pronounced Latagays. I was looking at schools, and I believe it's pronounced, it's ARGO, a lot of gays. I've seen it. I've seen it myself.
I'm sorry. It's pronounced Argosy.
Right. That's what I said. A lot of gays.
Alrighty. Moving on.
Sir, do you feel as though pronouncing things that way is a little bit of a shot or a derogatory comment, perhaps?
Well, actually, I'm actually offended you would think that I thought you thought that. I think you know what I think.
Please enlighten us. How do you feel about
Please
that?
elaborate.
Back to the restaurant question, though. I think
Yes, let's go back to that, please.
I think it's very pertinent to know that if you paid close attention, which I believe you did, I think I know you did. If you paid attention to what I said, if you remember clearly what I said that I go to a Portuguese restaurant nearby my house and I order the kale soup, the super stuffed sardine, and I order a veggie pocket. Do you remember? I think you remember.
I actually wasn't listening at that point in time. I was driving
Oh,
to the event.
I think you do, and I'm offended that you're going to pretend that you didn't.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
But-
it is important for me to not remember about a veggie pocket and some kale soup.
But
I understand that.
here's the irony. Here's the irony, because I'm a man of irony. In my speech, I said which restaurant I'd like to go to and what my meal is. My meal was vegetarian, and I followed that statement up repeatedly with, where's the beef? I don't know where the beef is. I ordered vegetarian. Full of irony, I am. Full of irony, I am. Sam, I am.
Well,
Where's the beef?
I only gave Jazel a little bit of time, so you do have a little bit more time left. And
Are you talking about that Korean kid?
no.
No experience. No experience at all. And quite frankly, I'm disappointed that I even have to say that over and over again.
Oh, man.
Now, come, everybody, let's be respectful now. Let's be respectful. I was quiet when you talked.
I'm quiet when you're talking.
So about that Halloween costume,
Yes.
you said that you would choose.
I'm going to be a businessman. Now, listen, if we're going to go back 40 years or so, yesterday was Back to the Future Day. I don't know if you know. If we went back 40 years ago, then I would have been Andre Agassi.
That's actually, you know what? It's actually a very good point. Because you were quite the tennis player back in the day.
Oh, I had a mean backstroke. But back to charter
I thought that
school.
was
As I
swimming.
was saying,
That's
As
your
I was saying,
backhand. Oh,
back
all right,
to
never
charter
mind.
school.
Okay.
back to charter schools. If we take one kid from one school and we put him in another school, then that's a problem for the first school. And I'm surprised that I have to explain that to you. I'm disappointed.
You seem surprised and disappointed quite a lot today.
I don't know why I'm here. Where's the beef?
Where's the beef?
Sam, can I ask you a real question about shared sacrifice?
As long as I have if I have time to rebuttal. Do I have a minute? He had a minute. Do I have a minute?
You sure do. Do you
Okay.
feel as though you lived up to that term, shared sacrifice, from the day that you started with the State of the City address?
Well, one, as I stated, I met minimum net school spending for 2017. One. Two, I met minimum school spending for 2016. That's two. Now, three, if we do Common Core math, we should be at three, right?
Pretty close to it, yeah.
Three, I'm still working on it, which quite clearly, I don't know why I have to explain to you. Obviously, I've met it. We're still working on it, so I've met it. And I think you know that.
Boom. That didn't answer my question exactly.
Speaking
Sir.
of restaurants, why is there no Korean food? I've been in the mood for Korean food lately.
Actually,
this Korea
Korean food
talk?
is fantastic. I was in Korea for about a year and a half. It's actually fantastic food. So,
I've been dealing with Korea for the last couple of days, and I know what their problem is. Let me tell you that. I understand now why they have a problem, because it's an experience.
yes.
And with a little bit more experience, I think we can bring North and South Korea together.
And we're doing big things here in Fall River. You're going after it high. You send the bar very high.
I know we're doing big things. I don't know if you heard about this or not, but just this week, they're breaking ground at Amazon.
Have we heard from Amazon's representatives or just you?
Have you heard from Ken Paola? He'll back me
He's
up.
not an
I don't know why I have
He's
to
not an
explain it.
Amazon representative either.
Well, I think you know that I know
Right.
that him,
Uh-huh.
the Boston Globe, they'll all tell you,
We're on a rebound.
yes. Now, I don't know much about basketball. Again, if I could go back 40 years, I would be a tennis player. not a basketball player. I never quite could dunk, but I had a mean backstroke.
Yeah, you keep saying backstroke. That's swimming. That's not
Well,
tennis.
let me tell you something. No.
now you're
And I think you know that. I'm offended that you think I don't have a mean backstroke.
All right.
I think you know that I do. I think you know that I do. You claim to say that it's basketball or it's swimming, right? You claim that. Show me some substance, please. Show me where that's what it is.
You know what?
Where's
You're
the
absolutely
beef?
right. It's impossible to show it to you while we're over the phone. So I will.
You know
I
what
will,
else is impossible?
What?
How to say that damn LOTGZ thing. Watergate. It's impossible to say how to say that damn
Low
company
tags.
without saying Watergate.
Low
It's
tag.
Low
impossible.
tags.
Watergate. Where's the beef?
Low
Watergate.
tags.
Where's the beef?
I'm gonna let you go, sir.
Shots fired.
I know that. Yeah, shots fired. I know that you have a lot of work to
Did
do.
you know gun violence is down?
Bye. Have a great day. Thank you.
God bless Fall River.
God bless Fall River. Oh boy. All right. So for the listeners listening right now, that was not the mayor, Sam Sutter.
Oh my God.
He will still be calling in tomorrow officially. Thank you. Back when we did the BCC show, back when we were doing, Derek's gone.
He's in a corner.
Back when we did the show on BCC, we did have that caller call in quite frequently. Thank you for calling in. Appreciate it.
Well, we didn't have him call in. They call in from their own
Yes, they called in on their own, but it was, phenomenal nonetheless. I think Derek definitely got something out of that.
Whew.
Oh man.
My eyes.
So I'm gonna give Rick Barlow a call here. Might as well do that.
Oh my God. Wow.
Transition right out of that one. That was phenomenal. But
I love
at the end
Sham.
of the day, yeah, Sham is getting it done over here.
Sham the man.
All right, so we're gonna call into Rick Barlow right now. I feel like I'm on a
Every
jam stand.
time.
I feel like I'm on a
We
jam
need to
stand.
do that one day. Oh, we definitely need to do that.
Oh, all right. Yeah, we'll have to call him back. That's right.
Oh, because we didn't see the message where he tells us he's busy.
He's busy at the moment, so that's unfortunate.
He's so popular.
So, what kind of questions are you going to ask the real Sam Sutter? Do you feel as though you
I'm
wanna
not
hold on
going
it?
to divulge that information because if I do, he'll be studying. And I don't like that. I like natural answers. And if you don't know an answer, man, just say you don't know. I'd rather you tell me that you don't know than say something that's untrue.
Yeah. Sorry.
No.
Can we talk a little about his comment about Amazon and Dead in the Water?
Absolutely. 100%. Please, by all means.
Now, during the debate last night, when Sutter was talking about Amazon, he tries to take credit for it. And I don't like that. As a Fall River resident, I really don't like that. It's one thing to say that you were a part of closing the deal, maybe, whatever. But to say that we've been listening to them talk about Amazon for years now at this point. It has nothing to do with Sutter. But he had stated that Ken Fiola told him the deal was dead in the water.
Mhm.
And that was his exact words were dead in the water.
Yes.
Okay. So I go back to the records we have, and I find an article where Ken Fiola is quoted. Now, this is an article that was written on December 18th, I believe it was. And the article states, let me get the exact quote here, if you don't mind. Give me a moment.
By all means. Can I elaborate a little bit on Amazon?
Yeah, go
a
for
little
it.
bit?
Go for it.
Amazon reached out to us, correct?
Mhm.
We didn't reach out to them. They reached out to us, correct?
That's right.
Amazon, being a billion-dollar corporation that loves and thrives on types of TIF agreements that give them huge tax breaks by coming to cities that have dire needs for jobs. That's what they do. They've expanded their business based on a business model that works for them, taking advantage of cities that need jobs and are willing to give up hundreds of millions of tax dollars in order to just get those jobs. Politicians have taken advantage of these things by saying, hey, we brought you jobs.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing that. It's a textbook model. We saw it with Flanagan. We're seeing it now. At the end of the day, I appreciate the fact that the jobs are coming here. But I'm just done with giving politicians credit for all this stuff. The business model for them is to come to a city or a town that is in dire need of jobs. And they come here and they get really, really great tax incentives by taking advantage of these areas. And it's their right to do it because we're in need, and they have what we need in those jobs. So they do it, they come here, they get it done. And then next thing you know, politicians are taking all the credit. I'm not going to give credit to a mayor. I'm not going to give credit to a politician. I'll give credit to Amazon for having this model that they can come to a city like Fall River, rip them for as much hundreds of millions of tax dollars as they want, and still stand out on top and say, hey, we gave you jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Go for it.
So there's a section in this article, which, by the way, was an article written about the fact that Amazon backed out. They backed down, or they put a hold on the deal. So it says it says city officials knew on Monday that the Amazon presentation would be delayed, Fiola said. Amazon has a very methodical approach, Fiola said. It's been very successful for them. They're doing due diligence on the land itself, and the land disposition agreement has to be renewed. Due diligence includes making sure there are no legal claims on the land, and the land isn't polluted, and that it is sold enough to support the building. Is solid enough, to support the building proposed. The issue of the mayoral recall election and the election of Sam Sutter as the city's new mayor was not raised by the company, Fiola said. I've reached out to Mayor-elect Sutter to brief him on this project, Fiola said. We are controlling what we can control and letting Amazon do its work. Now, when you go back to what Sutter said last night, that Fiola told him it was dead in the water, is one of two facts. Either Fiola was lying during this article, or Sutter is lying now. Take your pick. Those are the only two options. No in between.
No in between. Well, it's all politicized, right? So when you get politicized on these things, you're going to end up getting some half-truths, lies, whatever you want to call it. It just seems to be that way. Again, going back to Jazel's term, disingenuous, right? But again, when we talk about Amazon, when we talk about the very, very basic point of Amazon, they're not going to come to a city that's thriving with jobs and doesn't have that desperate need for jobs. They're going to come to a city that's in desperate need of jobs, that they can get the best deal from, that they're going to get the most tax breaks from. And that's exactly what they got with Fall River. And again, not a bad thing, because we do need those jobs. But let's just call a spade a spade. Let's give the credit to where it's due. Credit is to Amazon more than anybody in this whole entity because of their model. And you also have to point to the fact that our job situation, our employment situation in Fall River is in dire need. So those two factors come together. Your politicians just came in, did the TIF agreement, gave Amazon hundreds of millions of dollars of tax incentives, and that's it. That's all that really happened here. Did they resuscitate a dying situation? Absolutely not. Because guess what? That need was there, whether Flanagan was the mayor, or if Jazel's going to be the mayor, or if Sam Sutter's still the mayor. That need for jobs is still there. So as long as that need for jobs is still there, there was always an opportunity for Amazon to take advantage of the tax incentives that we were willing to give them. So that's really all there is. It's not really that complicated. And all we're seeing now is politicians try to take credit. And to me, that's the word. Disingenuous is the exact word. I'm all set with that. Thank you to Amazon for giving the city the opportunity to get jobs. And, we were in a position to give them all those tax breaks. That's really all it's about. So.
Okay. And here's the biggest point. Amazon has not signed any contracts, people. There is not one legal document stating that Amazon is coming to Fall River. If we are going to celebrate anything, it should be that this one company, and I can't remember the name offhand, begins with a T, they bought or supposedly were in the process as of Saturday or Sunday's article in the Herald News. They were in the process of purchasing the property. So this property, as of last weekend, hadn't even been purchased yet. How can we stand there and celebrate Amazon coming when Amazon's not the one buying the property? Amazon is not the one building the property. All they're doing is leasing a building once it is built. This building's not even built. It could be built and then Amazon could say, hey, guess what? We got a better deal around the corner in Rhode Island. There is no legal anything stating Amazon cannot pull out, they cannot back out. They don't have to be here. So I can't celebrate in good conscience celebrate a company on a groundbreaking when, one, that's not even the company that's buying the property, building on the property. If we're going to celebrate anything, let's celebrate that company that bought 77 acres of property, or is in the process of buying 77 acres of property for, how much was it? 3.5 million?
The goal,
The magic number that always seems to come out in Fall River politics, 3.5 million.
the goal of a politician in situations like this, especially right before the election, is to have the public thinking they already have it. We don't have it yet. It's not there yet. I'm not saying it's not coming. I'm just saying it's not there yet. So if you're basing who you vote on this Amazon situation, then please take it for what it's worth. We have not heard from Amazon yet. And that's the way you should be thinking about this. If you're going to base everything that you vote on this Amazon situation. And if you're going to base it on this, really, really look at it for what it's worth.
Just to clarify, the developer, it's Nikki, you're right. It's Trammell Crow Company.
Trammell Crow, that was them.
I just wanted to get
And P.S., not to interrupt you, but there's not one thing on their website
You're right.
talking about buying property in Fall River.
Correct.
Just saying, even though they talk about many, many, many purchases, they do not talk about any purchases for Fall River.
Well, that's the interesting part, because you see that the company, the Trammell Crow Company, is the one that's building the building.
Mhm.
Though, but remember, the article says Amazon's breaking ground. No, that's not true. Trammell Crow Company broke ground, not Amazon. If anything's going to happen, it's going to be between Amazon and Trammell Crow Company. So that's a complete.
That's right. None of our business, because it's a private contract, folks.
There's a complete farce. So please keep that in mind. Second thing is that I went back and I did find some of the dates of importance for when the TIFs were all squared away. You have November 6th when the Fall River Tax Finance Board okayed the 15-year TIF. You had November 24th from oh, by the way, the first article was from the Herald News. This article from November 24th, 2014 was from Metro West Daily News, where it says Fall River signs the TIF agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And now with Amazon, now the companies are talking. And then you have one article on March 24th, 2015 from the Herald News as well, saying that the state approved the tax break for Amazon. So at that point in March 24th, there was something there. So I don't know when it was dead. I don't know when it was resuscitated. I don't know where this all goes, but there are plenty of articles out there that contradict that statement. So whoever's lying is
And I would be interested to speak, because I mean, I've heard stories. Somebody said, oh, they drove by Airport Road or the area and they do see somebody working. I mean, what stops anybody from bringing a bunch of trucks over there and taking some photo ops? I know that might sound crazy, but when I can't find any documentation from this company that's supposedly paying $3 million, buying 77 acres of property, that's a big deal. 77 acres of property, and that company is not going to announce it on their main website.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little strange, no?
Just got some confirmation here. Mike DeOliveira will sit with us tomorrow.
Nice.
Yep. So we will definitely have Jay Burns. I'm 100% sure that Jay Burns will call in, and I'm
Yes,
actually
he will
looking forward
keep his
to talking
word.
to him. Just based on how cancellations have come before in the past, we're going to be tentative on Sam Sutter actually calling, the real Sam Sutter actually calling in, and just know, I got the look from Nikki, but just know that if Sam Sutter's people are listening right now, we have some fun on this show. We're not going to apologize for it. At the same exact time, when you call in, or if you do call in, you'll be treated with respect just as much as Jay's career was. So just to let you know that.
I don't treat anybody disrespectfully.
Nope. So I'm going to call Mr. Barlow back, Rick Barlow. He tried to call in earlier. And let's call him in.
Go, Rick.
You want this?
Sure.
All right.
We definitely need to prank someone one day.
It would be awesome to do that. And I think I know exactly the right person to do it.
I think so too.
Oh, come on.
Good morning,
Hey.
Rodriguez. When we can't pronounce your name,
Nice.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Very good, man. You called in earlier, but we were on the phone. We had a really good conversation going on with someone about the Common Core situation in school, the charter school situation. What did you want to call in about?
Oh, there's so many different things. There's so many different things. I don't know, that question they asked about the restaurant, I think they should just ask about where's his favorite bar. Guarantee you what it means. And I think that's why he was struggling so hard. I'm like, where's a place without a bar I can think of?
When you're in a position when you have the thought process of a politician, it seems as though you're trying to make everybody happy. So when somebody asks you something very specific, you say one restaurant over another, and every other restaurant in Fall River is all of a sudden supposed to be mad at you. Rick, you got some stuff going on in the background over there, man.
Well, there's, don't forget, it's like, no, Nikki said it's just a stepping stone for him because, don't forget, when he was district attorney, he was running for, what was it, Congress?
Wait, he was district attorney?
Yeah, back in, was it 2010? Was it? Oh, no, before that? Or somewhere on there.
Yeah.
I'll pull up the YouTube thing again. He was running for, I think it was Congress.
Okay.
So he was really down the Cape, really pushing away. What was that, Section 9 or whatever it is there? Something like that. I'll pull it up for you.
Rick, thank you very much. You just remind me of
Huh?
something. I said, thank you very much. You remind me of something. I'll address it afterwards. Sorry.
So, did you see it? But, Sam's, Flanagan endorsed him and stuff like that. Then, of course, he came back and gave Flanagan the short end of the stick by running up against him. So it definitely is a stepping stone for him. So who knows how long he's going to last before, he's definitely going to fight hard for this because how's it going to look for him if he gets booted out of, being a mayor only a short term, only 9 months, to run again for, a higher office.
So
It won't look good on his resume.
I know that your focus, one of your main focuses has been about the protection of the fire department, looking out for those guys. How do you feel about some of the conversations that we're having about the trucks and things like that?
Well, I haven't heard the whole thing, but what it's going to cost for a heavy Rescue 1 and one of those ladder trucks. You're looking at probably close to $3 million for those two trucks alone. For heavy Rescue 1 and a brand new ladder truck, which they desperately need to replace that Rescue 1, but not right now. But in the next few years. And don't forget, if they don't get these trucks now, you're looking at another year and a half to 2 years before you see a truck on the road. We're going to put people's lives in danger for another year and a half to 2 years.
So you're talking about what Sam Sutton was talking about with the low interest rate purchase, correct?
Right. So throw those trucks to the side and take a gamble whether or not you'll get those trucks. Get that one truck now, and then pay the higher price later on for the other trucks, and wait another year and a half to 2 years before you even see one of those trucks.
One of his main focuses was the fact that it would be federally funded and not locally funded, correct?
Yep. Correct. On those other, to bond for those other trucks. But who knows with this guy? Every time you turn around, he flip-flops. Like, he says that he met school spending, and then he turns around in the same sentence after, towards the end, and he says, well, they're still working on, what we still owe them. So if they're still working on how much you owe them, then you didn't meet net school spending.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We haven't fully met it yet, but he said things about creative, with being creative about this and that and the other. I don't like to hear those terms. To me, when you are being quote creative, that sounds unstable to me. You know what I'm saying?
But it's like Dan Rigo is one that brought it up at the city council meeting about the inspections, which is true. If I own a single family home and it's only going to cost me $100 for that inspection, why should a place like Amazon or one of these mills, where it's taking them a long time? I know, because I know one of my friends, he does inspections, and my wife works at Duro, so I know how long it takes them
inside of a mill like that to do a full inspection on everything, why should they only pay $100 for the same inspection? You know what I mean? You're talking a much bigger inspection. That's the same thing with, state inspections for vehicles. You got a car, you go get a sticker for it, it's $35. If you have a truck, it's $135.
Right.
But, that same inspection sticker. You know what I mean? Because it's more work for the inspector guy. He's got to do more work to inspect that vehicle
Yes.
compared to a car. So isn't it only right that, we get more money for an inspection like that?
I mean, it's
To inspect a big building?
it's a good attempt too when you're talking about building a fund based on that. It's a good attempt to try to find some stabilization as well. You know what I mean?
Right, and then that money goes directly towards,
Yes.
towards, a separate account. And that money, when something happens, okay, look, that's your money. If we have to dip into, the taxpayers' money to help out buy something, then you do. But,
Yep.
if they can self-sustain themselves with their own fees, and it's not that they're ripping people off, because this is an inspection that has to be done. It's not, this is a fire marshal's, regulations where these buildings have to be inspected all the time. You know what I mean? And the same thing when you sell a house, it has to be inspected. You can't just sell a house and say, okay, here you go. It's got to be inspected by the fire department for, the safety of the smoke alarms and everything else.
Right. Right.
So it's not like they're saying, okay, every year we have to go inspect your place. This is something, of course, big buildings like that, they have to all the time because, you never know what they're going to do.
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha, man.
and
I'm
the same thing with the police department. They can do the same thing with parking tickets, I wouldn't say speeding tickets, something like that, but parking tickets, because then it's, people's negligence for parking,
No, I had a
and that money
question.
should go to.
I had a question for you real quick. Hey, Rick, I had a question for you real quick because last night we heard about how Jazel talked about how the fire department, the police department does pretty well in, managing, their budget and things like that. But doesn't the police department get more money coming into their to their system based on tickets and things like that? Fire department doesn't really have that mechanism to bring in more money that way. They're really dependent on a lot of different things, mostly grants, to really get their to get their income up, or their staffing up and things like that.
Because there's a violations, fire violation that, when they go do an inspection, of course they can get violated for stuff. That money doesn't go into the fire department. That goes into the general account.
Exactly. Yep.
And I don't know about speeding tickets and all the other tickets from police departments. I don't know where that money goes. I don't know if that goes into a state account or if that goes into, I don't know if Mickey knows that question or not, but if that goes into,
them saying general.
it stays in the general account.
And stuff like that.
I'm actually not sure about speeding tickets, but I know, I believe a portion of it goes to state, a portion, like if a state police officer pulls you over
Right.
and you're speeding, I believe that ticket goes, the money goes directly to the state. I'm not sure. There's a few different where I guess that's something where contracts change. So I would actually want to look into that because those are the things that I think they're hiding money with, to be honest.
Yeah, we hear different things every other meeting. We hear, especially when it comes to where the money goes. It's almost like they have a vested. It's like like when you're on a street corner and they put they have like cups and they put the ball in the middle and they just switch things around. One day to the next, you don't know where that where that money is. So, hey, but Rick, we're gonna let you go real quick. All right.
All right, guys. I'll see you later.
Thanks for calling. Thanks for listening, man.
Hey, no problem. Don't forget, we are a lot of gays here.
Oh boy.
Dear God.
Goodness gracious.
See you later.
Oh man. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Well, the thing of it is, if Sutter didn't say it the way that he said it with
We wouldn't be
such
here right now.
So
gusto,
I'm sorry, Nikki.
that's okay.
One of the things that Rick mentioned, and I was kind of thankful that he did mention it, was something about with Sutter's track record of being a DA, and we all crack on it, we all do whatever it is though. But one of the things that I found interesting was I went to the 2014 election where he was reelected, quote unquote reelected, to become the district attorney again. So that actually isn't true because he ran unopposed. Theoretically, when you run unopposed, no votes are cast for you or anything like that. So it would be very interesting to see how far back it goes to see how long he ran unopposed. doesn't necessarily mean he wanted the job. As long as he put his name on the line and no one went against him, he was going to stay as your district attorney. So to say that he was put into that position, but is a little disingenuous, and there goes that word again. Because if nobody runs against you, you're going to automatically get it by default. Okay, that's great. But if you're going to say you're going to base your track record on being a DA, if you're going to say something like that, say it where people at least put you into the position to do something, not say, I was this for 8 years. I mean, maybe you had to earn your spot for the first few, but after that, how many times did you actually have to did you have to win the election to stay the DA? Unfortunately, I couldn't go too far back because I was a little rushed to get some info, but I do. Back 2014, he ran unopposed. I'd like to figure out how far back it's going to be. So how far back he ran unopposed. So that was all I had on that.
Nice.
Thank you. I knew there was something I forgot to mention.
I don't know all the details of that either, but it's easy enough to look up.
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe you have to. I'm not sure if it's a 2-year term or if it's every year or something like that. Someone can call in. Number is 774-955-0533, and if they can clarify that, that'd be perfect.
You know what we haven't talked at all about today?
Nope.
Trash.
Say it ain't so.
I do feel as though maybe you wouldn't mind. I know I posted this, and I know I tagged you on this, but did you get a chance to take a look at this?
I did quickly.
I mentioned this in the debates. I mentioned this actually. We had a chance to talk for an hour on the Portuguese station, which was really awesome. It was actually probably one of my more fun times that I've had in this whole campaign situation. But I talked a lot about Norwood. Now, I was in Sandy Beach area going door to door, and somebody came out, started talking to me. And I mentioned to them about our wasteful spending on yard waste, things that you've talked about.
Yeah, such a complete mess. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's wasteful because it's done on overtime. It's wasteful because it spends $120 per truckload to get rid of. And it's wasteful because it's a resource and it's a commodity that we could actually use. So therefore, this gentleman, who I guess he's listened to me talk before, he started mentioning to me about Norwood, Massachusetts. Now, Norwood's a town, small town. It's not as big as Fall River. We always have to keep these things into account.
Right.
Just like with Burlington, Vermont, they are 100% reusable with their energy. They use rivers for hydroelectricity. However, they're 30,000 people. We have almost 90,000 people here. So we always have to keep those things into effect. We can't just say what works in a town of so many thousand people is going to be the same as 88,000 people here in Fall River. However, I think when it comes to composting and when it comes to our recycling and our waste, the bigger the population, the more opportunity to collect on a commodity. So I think this works in our favor that we're bigger than Norwood in a way, if we were to adopt some of the things that they do. So I'm on the Norwood site right now, their recycling department, compost, yard, and organic waste. They are very adamant about not mixing their trash and recyclables into their organic waste and composting material, because this is a valuable commodity to them that they use, that they actually use. They can use it to sell. They could use it within their own city. And if Fall River did that, we would eliminate the overtime piece. We would eliminate the $120 per truckload, and we would be eliminating a waste of a commodity that actually could bring some value to the city. Yard waste was a huge issue when Nikki first started going through all the ordinances and the processes of what we do with our trash and waste.
And actually, what Norwood does, as far as their ordinances go, isn't very different from what Fall River's ordinances are written as. However, our officials have seemed to have paid so much attention to trash and solid waste, and they're keeping us distracted by only talking about solid waste. and not talking about these little things, these hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars that we're spending on something that's really unnecessary, something that could literally be cut today without any consequences. There would be absolutely no consequences to Fall River stopping yard waste today. If they just said, sorry, we no longer will pick up yard waste, we can no longer take it, nothing would happen except for people would have to take care of their own yard waste, just like they did once upon a time. It wouldn't cost Fall River any money. It wouldn't be a detriment to our city. It wouldn't bring rats in. It would literally just be a savings, a dollar amount savings. That's it, period. We do not, you haven't heard any enforcement of the piece to our yard waste. And although they don't say anything about yard waste having to legally be composted, they do say that yard waste cannot go into your trash. So they knew enough about it to put that piece in the ordinance. Now, did they only add that piece just to satisfy the state? Probably, because we know that between the recycling ordinances and the yard waste, they don't really enforce any of those. Like, there is no enforcement piece in Fall River stating that you cannot put a non-recyclable into your recycling, even though there is a section of the ordinance that does state that. There's no enforcement of that. And then we add every year there is at least for the last two budgets we've noticed, there is a $10,000 line item revolving account for home composting. Now, to me, if the city is going to dedicate $10,000 toward home composting, and that's not for recycling, that's not for anything other than home composting, what are we doing with home composting? Where is that $10,000 going to? What is it going to? It's $10,000. So it's not a penny, $10,000. You would think you would get a lot back for that amount of money, but we're not seeing anything, at least not to me. Have you heard anything of the yard waste piece?
No, I mean,
home composting?
Nope.
There are no more compost bins, which we know. The city at one time, years and years ago, did offer supposedly low cost compost bins. There are none left. I assumed when I saw this $10,000 in the budget that was for maybe home composting bins. But again, our recycling coordinator, Betsy Westhow, there's no grants or anything else that I know of that have been applied for home composting bins.
Right.
So where is that $10,000 going to? So like for the last 2 years, we'd have $20,000 that's gone toward home composting. What do we know?
I remember bringing that up at the ordinance meeting. Jason Correa stared at me and just smiled because he didn't know either.
Yep.
And the entire speech that I was going through, Dan Rigo, as soon as I mentioned that $10,000, Dan Rigo put his head into his hands and just went like this. Just.
Yeah.
I mean, when they challenge us to find wasteful spending, when someone like Dan Botello challenges people to be specific as to what they want to do, and we bring them specifics, things we can save today, right now, they have no response, zero. It's all wordplay.
They say we can't do that. They say we can't do that. If you were to stop, all right,
contracts.
Do we even know how? Yeah, but you know what? I don't care about that's the whole thing. You got into a yard waste contract when there was no need. There was no need for the city of Fall River to start collecting yard waste. None. There was no need for it. Guess what, guys? We're in a financial mess. Sorry, folks. There is no health hazard to leaving yard waste behind. We're leaving yard waste behind. We're not picking it up. We're no longer paying $120 per truckload to get rid of it. We're no longer paying overtime employee salary. Come on, guys. This is an easy fix. No drama necessary. We no longer pick up yard waste. Guess what? You got to compost it.
That's it. And it's really.
I mean, if my electric goes out at home, is City Hall there ready to turn my lights on? No. So what's the difference with yard waste? How many residents in the city of Fall River actually utilize the yard waste disposal?
Right.
I have maybe 2 people on my whole street, my entire block. that use it. So if we're saying let's 2, 3, or 4 families every block, is it even worth picking it up
Right.
to turn around and compost it ourselves and sell it as a city? Or is it just worth it for everybody to do it themselves? We want everybody to be self-sufficient, but then they want to do things like pick up their yard waste. Right. We're going to leave your trash behind if you don't use a purple bag, but by golly, we'll pick up all those twigs. We will pick it up. Right. We don't want those to be in wet bags. We don't want you to have leaves outside your house. Right. But we're going to leave the trash there because it's not in a purple bag.
It's crazy. Completely backwards.
You know, it's very backwards.
Public hazard, safety,
I mean,
all that kind of
and
stuff.
let's go on. Sutter made the comment at the last debate that recycling increased 44% and solid waste decreased 44%. Well, genius, wouldn't you think that people don't want to buy bags, so they're just taking trash and not putting it in bags, but putting it in the recycling bin? Solid waste went down 44%. Recycling increased 44%. Well, then they're going to say, well, the recycling increased because more people are recycling. Mm-hmm. That might be true, but the cost to dispose of our recycling has increased right along with the amount of recyclables because of the contamination. They want to say the prices increased because of oil. Everybody who's put gas in their car has said gas prices are down big time, right? Since last year, the year before. Mm-hmm. So again, what are they really trying? They're lying.
Basically.
They're not telling the truth. I mean, let's reality of it. Gas went down, so the price of that recycling should have gone down.
Absolutely.
The cost has been increasing ever since pay as you throw started. Anybody can do their own research, guys. Soon as pay as you throw started, the price of our recycling to dispose of it started increasing. Why did it increase? I'm telling you, I believe it's because it's contaminated. It's contaminated with non-recyclables, which is why our solid waste went down 44%. Makes sense, right?
Right.
And then you also bring up the point where you say that our recycling is going up. It's going up nearly. At one point, we were paying what, $9 to $15 roughly to get a ton to get
less than that.
All right, now how it's about 37, 38. It's around the high 30s to get rid of it now, if I'm not mistaken. So we've seen a dramatic increase, about 4 or 5 times more money to get rid of our solid waste. I'm sorry, to get rid of our recyclables, and no one really says a word about that. That's 4 times, probably about 4 or 5 times more now than it was what, maybe 3 years ago, however many years ago. But they just care about that we recycle more. That's
right.
I mean that's a little bothersome to me.
Sure. No, S. Go ahead.
I got a message. Nikki is way off on yard waste. Just because her part of the city doesn't use the bins doesn't mean all of the city is that way.
Correct.
Her view is very myopic.
Well, I asked how many people in the city of Fall River utilize the yard waste. Is it even worth picking it up to turn around and sell it? My thing is, if we shouldn't be relying as residents. We shouldn't be relying on the city to take care of every problem we have. Again, the city doesn't pay my electric bill. They don't pay my gas bill. They don't pay my telephone bill. They don't want to pay the trash bill. So what makes yard waste any different? Yard waste should be handled just like a utility. If people want the service, by all means, get the service, but have them pay for it. You can't ask for a whole city to pay for a service that only a few receive. Same thing with trash. Same thing with water. I mean, let's be real. We need to separate solid waste, recycling, and yard waste. 3 separate services.
It doesn't have to be a top priority along with recycling and solid waste.
Right.
Basically, it could be a convenient, and it's seasonal too. It's not even really necessarily all year round. You know what I mean? So I agree with you, Nikki, as far as like if a person wants that service, they should just be able to.
Because I absolutely agree. If the majority of taxpayers in the city are utilizing the service, by all means, keep it that way. Mm-hmm. Or have, a portion come out of the general fund. What I don't want to see is the money for yard waste coming out of the sanitation fund. Mm-hmm. People who are buying bags, purple trash bags shouldn't be subsidizing yard waste, shouldn't be subsidizing that portion of it. I'm not against it. However, if we're talking about reality and the ways to save financially for the city, that would be one piece.
We got another message coming soon.
Yeah. I mean, people pay their taxes, their property taxes. So I could see them wanting the service. But when we're looking at the fire department, trash, this, that, and the other thing, if you want the service, pay for the service.
I hear you.
I mean, I don't think every property taxpayer should have to foot that bill. Same thing with trash. I mean, if we could say people shouldn't have to pay for everybody else's trash, why should they have to pay for the recycling or pay for the yard waste rather?
I do like what they do in Norwood, though, and I feel as though it's not just an opportunity to cut costs; it's an opportunity to possibly bring a little revenue. I'm not saying it's build our entire economic development off of it. It's just something that it's one of those things that we can look at and say, "Oh wow, this is a waste. Let's change it." You know what I mean? And that's it. I mean, and I think that if we had it on something as small as yard waste, then we can then expand that thought process, that mentality to other aspects of our government. And the next thing you know, we're working towards a more efficient government overall.
I just don't understand, like I said before, how we started the yard waste piece from the get-go. That to me is again, if it's a service to be provided, it should be paid for.
That's it.
I don't understand.
Yeah. So we're approaching the final minutes of our show here.
The final
This one went by
countdown.
fast, I think. Good. Want to thank everybody who called in.
And messaged.
Yeah, and thanks to the guys who were messaging in as well. Great. We talked about a lot of different topics here.
True story.
The school department stuff is, I mean, that is just that is going to be an ongoing discussion so long because there's so much that's unresolved. As far as choosing a charter over a public school, there is a statistical fact out there right now as far as our schools go. Our charter schools are much lower in the up that way anyway, just based on the way things are. But do you think that there should be any kind of effort to even out that balance? Or to balance out that number?
I don't know the stats. I don't have any of the information, so
I wouldn't talk about it.
I wouldn't know. I mean, the mental health portion is there's a lot of other aspects that come into that. So
maybe we'll look into the numbers a little bit more. And
the city gets money back from Mass Health when they provide certain services. So it's that can get into a little trickiness.
That's exactly right. So because the state is so involved in the mental health aspect of students, I wonder if it's simply going to have to remain that way, or if there's some type of effort to allow some charter schools to take on a little bit more, just based on the fact that it's such a lopsided percentage right now. So just out of fairness. We're all about fairness over here in City Talk.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. As far as Common Core math, shove it. Don't like it. Bye. And another thing too, neighborhood schools. I mean, I still for the life of me have no idea why they've gone away from that on any level. It's been more productive with social groups. It's been more productive with classroom sizes. It's been more productive with costs. Going away from it has been probably more detrimental to the school system than anything I can think of.
We should probably look into who's doing the building of each one of those schools that are being built. Well, I mean, not for nothing. Everything I've looked into, it's a shame that I find connections everywhere.
Yep.
So when you think, okay, so why did Fall River? Because let's be honest, we went to all the old schools. They weren't in that bad shape. Some of the schools were, but they could have been fixed. The schools themselves could have been fixed for much cheaper than the new schools. But they received grants, state funding for the new schools. That's why they got the new schools. So who were the ones who got paid for building those schools? You know what I mean? I've noticed that a lot of, okay, so I hire this person for a municipal contract. This person then donates to my campaign. Then this person, it's all a big circle.
Yeah, it's all intertwined, man.
Terrible.
Everybody, thank you for listening. thank you for calling our show. And I say this every single time. Our show is just 10 times better when it's interactive and having people call in. And I love every bit of this this new version of City Talk Fall River. Derek?
Everyone have a great day.
Peace and chicken grease.